Okay, that should be us live.
Okay. And we're just waiting on Stoops coming on.
Yes, we're just waiting on Stoops. Do me a favour, throw him a message on Facebook there and tell him we're on. I am sorting out a lot here. Like a lot. Like my charger keeps dying, so I've got to plug it into the laptop. Which is a joy. Plenty to talk about this week anyway, despite the buys. This is not the herd. I'm not Colin Cowherd, and Daniel is most certainly no Joy Taylor. So yeah, this was supposed to be a reduced week because we've got is it 3 teams on a bye? I think it's Stoops on a bye, Niall on a bye, Nick on a bye.
Yeah.
I don't know. But we've made do because
What a boring fucking week.
it's Christmas.
Yes, that's true.
Yes, and the behest or request or whatever the coolest way of putting that is of Nick, I have got Christmassy things to say about each team, specifically a Christmas song for each team. So
We're just waiting on Stoops coming on.
yes, need to tell everybody we're live too. I'll do that.
I've already put it in the group chat.
Oh, hot tamale. Stoops, did you not read the message following this, my guy? Yeah, but like, 15 minutes, 15 minutes is fine. Don't worry about it. Take your time. I had to get this set up and make sure that I could not only be heard audibly from upstairs, but also that my controller wasn't going to die. The fact you're going to take 50 minutes actually helps. Do not fear for any... Yes, I was going to say there's other stuff we can cover. Do not fear anybody listening. We will fill the air with lovely things. And if you want to cut straight to the bit where Sips comes on, I will watch this back afterwards, get a timestamp, and put that in for you as well, so you're not listening to this faff at the start. Unless you're into faff, in which case we got faff. So, first faffy thing I want to talk about is definitely the Dallas game, which I have zero prep on because it literally went final about an hour ago. But I just wanted to bring it up because I thought there was a lot of things that James did very well and a lot of things that he did not so well. But the positives by far outweighed the negatives. Mari Cooper was an absolute stud for him, and he looked like 13-3, James. He looked like he had the Dallas Cowboys back to where they should be, like beating CPU teams comprehensively, but not just running through CPU teams the same 2 or 3 routes. Running through CPU teams, he was very... I think he said it in the group actually publicly, but I thought so at the time, that he was experimenting with his playbook. Like he did a good couple of things that he wouldn't necessarily have done a few weeks ago. And a lot of people are scared about doing that in case it doesn't come off and then you get beat. But I would much rather that you got beat trying weird and random things. See James Cameron's 17-14 win over the Rams. And also James Cameron against the Browns. He was very experimental in that game, and that he ended up blowing a 14-point lead and went to overtime. But you know, he had he won. He had the tried and trusted stuff that he needed.
Pretty funny though, to be fair.
Oh, it was. It was quite funny.
I enjoyed it.
But I'm not going to criticize him for a game like that. Rather than if he'd have gone out and just beat the CPU like 21-10, just threw to Noah Fant. Because he did that in one game as well, and I did body him for that. But that's what the pod's for. That and an unhealthy addiction to statistics. Speaking of Pro Bowl votes, I did let everybody know Pro Bowl is open for voting. Now, I haven't voted myself because I didn't want to give myself too much to give away. If I'd already done my votes, I would have totally given them away in today's podcast. And that's probably not great. I don't want to influence voting either. Certainly in the early rounds, I mean, you can vote as many times as you want, I think, and that's kind of... I was going to say that's kind of why the Pro Bowl sucks in real life, but mostly it's Americans' fault, really. A couple of high-profile snubs in the real one, actually.
Yeah, annoyingly. A
I
large
mean,
amount.
I'm gonna stay away from Patriot love because that'll get me in trouble. But the one I really wanted in, couldn't believe he wasn't in, is James Robinson, the Jags running back.
Yeah, that was a weird one to leave out.
See, if you leave him out and you leave Justin Jefferson out, you're just leaving rookies out, and I understand the principle of that. But Justin
Chase Young's
Jefferson
in as
got
well.
in. Yeah, but Justin Jefferson and James Robinson are doing the exact same thing, except James Robinson's doing off tackle runs and Justin Jefferson's doing big catches and dances. It's the same thing.
I don't know if I like Chase Young getting in ahead of Alden Smith, to be fair. Thought
I
that
would
was
see
a little bit.
no Chase Young's a DN. For me, Alden Smith's now an outside linebacker.
How Alden Smith didn't get the Pro Bowl is
I
a
voted for
little
him, like,
bit.
although unfortunately, apart from Jerry Jones, I might have been the only one to vote for him.
It's a wee bit mental. They didn't get in, to be honest. He's
Oh,
definitely been like top
is it?
five of his position.
Is anybody listening? Talk to me if you're listening. The link is up. Uh, if anybody's listening, you can jog my memory. I'm gonna have a look myself now. I don't know what James's score was, and I watched the game from start to finish, but I can't remember how many points he scored.
I sadly did not get to watch it.
I think he scored right at the end because I sort of not photoshopped, I took a screenshot in my mind of what the score was, and then Green Bay fumbled a kickoff right at the death, and he went on to I think he went on to kick a field goal more. Zach's listening. Hey Zach, Merry 20-3, I suppose. Merry Christmas. Like I say, I'm gonna go buck daft in this podcast, and we're gonna be just Christmas up to the hilt. But I don't want to lather anything on too seriously until Stoops is on. James Earls is
Yeah.
listening. Of course he is. He won, so it's all gonna be positives today. Like I said, I discussed the negatives with him privately, but like I said, I don't think there was anything seriously negative about the performance. The whole ID in the mic thing is bad, but that's gonna start me in an absolutely sadistic rant on Madden, and I don't want to get into that either because it's Christmas and we need to be having a good, fun, happy time. You'll be happy to know with James's win, all is right with the world. He and James Cameron now have exactly the same record since James Cameron debuted in the CFM. They are both 18-5. All things perfectly balanced as they should be.
Yeah. Nice having both Jameses in.
Yes.
I look forward to James moving back to Belfast and playing there.
Adam's
Belfast
on.
James is a
Sweet.
lot
We've got
more
the
fun.
the vast majority of us on now. I think the big one we're kind of missing is Stoops.
Yeah.
Who else? Nick can catch us up. Niall's already got 2 pods. I don't know whether he's busy just because he's away or he wants to listen to the other 2 pods first. Either way, whenever you are listening to this, hi now. Uh, Merry Christmas to everybody that's on. Happy Christmas Eve. Eve, as some of us from Northdown would call it. I hope you're having a blast. I mean, I know things are shitty right now, but you know, no one is. I was saying no one's paying. Nobody's paying for this podcast anyway. Nobody is paying to hear me and Daniel waffling for an hour about how shit things are at the minute. So let's just pretend they're not. Just for an hour.
Everybody enjoy Christmas and stay inside.
Yeah,
Mix my
stay inside and don't mix with anybody. But
that's
also
pretty much
have your kids back to school by Daniel. We need a political podcast as well. Man,
by the
I would be
fourth
mad
by
up
the
for that.
4th of fucking January. Get everybody wired back in quickly.
So I'm gonna do the Christmas songs for everybody first. So I'm doing don't worry, I'm still doing the 3 word game. We're still doing all the normal segments, and still gonna criticize the bad teams, and I'm still gonna praise the good teams. But Christmas songs first of all. Daniel, I have some lovely songs for us to sing before we get into the
Have we
podcast.
simmed, by the way?
Oh, good question, Adam. You're listening. Quite possibly. I'm not sure. James is stuck in work tomorrow by himself on Christmas Eve. Daniel, can we perform a holiday miracle and do a random
James Cameron?
podcast? No, the James you like, James Earls. So, Christmas song time. Let's see, who will we start with? I like Nick's. I think Nick's is the best. Nick, the song for, if you're an Oakland Raider fan, the Christmas song you should be singing this year is Grandma got run over by Josh Jacobs. He is the key to everything that Oakland has done really well. And if you look at the two losses that he's had on the schedule, it's the two games Jacobs couldn't get going. I'm going to try and be as positive as possible with each team. So there are downsides and stuff, and I'll come out in a rash if I don't mention them. But my lowest that I see Nick finishing is the 6th or the 7th seed. I really do feel like he's going to be in the playoffs. And for me, Daniel, the CFM's better when the Raiders are in the playoffs. That sounds a little bit biased coming from me.
It's strange having a 7th seed not getting in now. It's happening in real life.
Isn't it?
Weird. I don't
More
like
on that later, I think.
Yeah. It's on sale at the minute. Go and fucking buy it.
If you're a Houston Texans fan, first of all, I am terribly sorry for some of the football you've had to watch, but also some of it's like, I mean, they're basically the Chiefs and CFM, kind of. The song for Houston is "It's Beginning to Look a Lot Like Last Year." So everything's going okay. He's dropped a game or two. I still feel like John is, I mean, gonna win the bowl. Is that bad to say? James Cameron's got a puncher's chance in the AFC title game. Adam and Zach are waiting for him on the other side potentially, but to call John I'm going to call John the favorite for the Super Bowl. I don't think it's a stretch. But if he loses, it's not like, oh my god, I can't believe it. He was so massively favorite. But he's a strong favorite, Daniel, right?
He's got. Well, he went last year.
Right.
He doesn't look really any different this year.
No.
Plus, it's not like last year was a one-off. He's been before twice.
I've just looked at the rest of these. What do you call it? Looking at the rest of these Christmas songs, and I'm really glad that no one else is on. Like Stoops is not, because you would get horrible. Like I can feel Adam's eyes rolling into the back of his head with some of these. Not least of all this one. For Zach, if you're a Giants fan, I was going to have you sing "Fairy Tale of New York Giants," but that's a bit on the nose. So I come up with a better one. I think, "God rest ye merry gentlemen." Dave Gettleman must be over the moon, because the one thing that he can't get right with the Giants is drafting a quarterback, and Zach seems to have solved that issue. I feel like for as many bowls as Zach wins the next 3 years, or as many playoffs as he fails to make, there'll never be a time where we go, God, I wonder if New York has the right quarterback. I feel like the only other two teams maybe in the entire, like, okay, they're not going to get rid of Barry B. Benson because of fan popularity, but I feel like Jordan Love and Deshaun Watson are the only other two quarterbacks that are like, bang, solid, he's bona fide elite, that's the guy, right? Herbert's at least the third best starter in the league. At the least.
Yeah, but
Trubisky's
I wouldn't say they're the only three of like who are franchise quarterbacks though.
Trubisky is paid like he's a franchise quarterback. Barry B. Benson is appreciated as if he were a franchise quarterback. Kyler Murray is a franchise quarterback, but then isn't next week. Dak Prescott, I can't say that he's not. I mean, he's just off a really good performance, but when I get to his Christmas song, it'll tell you exactly what I think of Dak Prescott. Justin Herbert is the answer, and Derek Carr is maybe fourth, maybe. Is that fair?
Yeah.
So, song for Dallas Cowboys fans to sing this year, it's not "We Dem Boys," but feel free to sing that as well. James, your song is "I Wish It Could Be the CPU Every Day." Do you know the last time that James lost a CPU game?
James is actually getting much better player games.
I know, but what I'm saying is he would go 16-0 every year and win the bowl if it was just CPU teams.
Well, that's why nobody plays offline Madden.
He has lost 2 CPU games in his last, 24 games. He lost by a single score at Carolina, and then he got wrecked towards the end of the year against Atlanta, but I'm discounting that one because
the Carolina one was fucking hilarious. No
Nick, but it is full team in there. Nick Foles played the Atlanta one.
We were watching Grace.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
the night that it happened, because I sat and watched it on my phone. That was fucking hilarious.
It was less grease lightning, more greased shining. Stoops. Oh, Stoops is on soon. Stoops is brilliant. Cardinals fans over Christmas were in holidays with "I Saw Murray Kissing Santa Kirk." That's an unbelievable tandem. It's no fluke that Stoops has won 4 in a row. Kyler Murray is hit form, and Christian Kirk is just always a godsend for him. I think they're outrageous. James Cameron, the Broncos song for Christmas. Let him throw, let him throw, let him throw. I spoke to you a little bit about this after the Tennessee game, where you put 51 points up, and I still wasn't all that happy. I'm a hard man to please. I like you being able to throw the ball more, like a little bit closer to not quite the pandemonium we had against Cleveland, but certainly. And I don't need you to be pass happy, but I feel like it's unbelievable inside zone, unbelievable outside zone. Then it comes to pass, and it's just that corner route to Noah Fant, like the sort of scissory corner route, which is going to work against the CPU. But as we just touched on with the other James, 13-3 in a first round exit does not a successful season make, because you'll get rinsed in the chat for it. You're more than competent in PvP games. I think you're 4-2 all time, so you can clearly pass. You just elect not to do it against the CPU. But your inside and outside zone are as good as anybody's in the league. Your passing game is okay. There's a bit at the end of the Tennessee game where we got Cortland Sutton and DK Metcalf in. I said this in the chat for anybody that read it. I was like, well, Denver needs to draft a wide receiver in the draft because they need help. Outside of Fant, there's no pass catching weapons. And then in the fourth quarter, I trots Cortland Sutton and DK Metcalf, and I'm like, oh, were they just on IR for the first 3 quarters? Where have they been? But no, he clearly has the weapons there to be an impact in the passing game. Just elects not to use them for the vast majority of the game. Not unlike another AFC rival of his. Chicago song for Christmas, if you're a Bears fan. Rockin' around the Trubisky, have a happy. So Trubisky is kind of the focal point of what's going to happen. We know what's happened in the first 7 games. I think whenever the schedule came out, we said Niall was going to go 7-0 or 6-1 through the first 7. So there's no shockers there. He won all the CPU games. The majority of us had him beating James, but people that didn't rate him in CPU or no, PvP games had him losing it. Well, shout out again to Adam for predicting that he would lose it. That was a bold prediction. But turned out it worked. Trubisky is going to determine the next sort of 9-week stretch for now. Niall feels like he's limited sometimes by what Trubisky's able to do, but we've seen whenever the game plan's right and the defense plays lights out and he gets plenty of drives, that Trubisky's ceiling is good enough to be a top 3 or 4 QB in this league. Stips should have already been invited, and I'm not at the PlayStation. Daniel, can you invite Stips?
I can try.
It's going to be quick if you can't. And Adam's song, just to finish this off, the Saints Christmas song is Michael Thomas is driving home for Christmas. He is going to come back for you at just the right time. You've lost him perfectly because now you get to play tougher teams. You got a couple of head-to-heads coming up, and you'll play them with your, not backups, Jordan Hasselwood's a class receiver, and of course Alvin Kamara is a focal point. But you have to try and beat teams without Michael Thomas, and if you do, then you'll be laughing when Michael Thomas eventually gets home. Oh.
I am attempting dad's tips now. Give me 2 seconds.
Happy days.
Hello.
Stipsy!
Hello?
Can you guys hear me okay?
Can you hear us?
I can indeed, yes.
Hot tamale.
Okay. First of all, before you start asking me any questions,
Yep.
as your good friend, who we
Right.
go back a long time,
We do
if you
indeed.
ever sing on a podcast again, I'm not coming on.
I had a deal in place with Nick that I was going to make it as Christmassy as possible, and that includes horrific singing.
Yeah, just don't. Okay.
I appreciate
Okay,
the criticism.
now we can start the show.
Okay. Guys, we are joined by the Arizona Cardinals head coach, Jonathan Stoops, and man oh man, I've been looking forward to this podcast. How are you,
It's been a
Stoopsy?
minute. It has been a minute.
It's been an entire minute. Whole 60
Yes.
seconds.
I know.
Are we all sporting Christmas jumpers?
Oh, I have a horrible Christmas jumper on that I need to send into the group chat.
Okay, you send yours first.
Da, da, da.
Right, once yours is in, I'll send mine. And like I say, mine plays music. I went all out
Oh,
for a horrific jumper. One you wouldn't be seen dead in.
just look at that monstrosity that I have.
Stips, why have you stuck a picture of a Christmas tree in the group chat? Oh my god, it's you! Christmas podcast!
I will post mine in after the podcast.
Fair.
Fair enough.
Hang on. I'll
what
see if I can play mine. Oh, no, I'm gonna play the music on my Christmas jumper before we start. Hang on.
Nice.
Oh, I think the battery's dead in it. Anyway, plays the Imperial March. So the first thing, it's not even questions or anything. I just wanted to open with a general discussion with the three of us about Pro Bowlers. Not that you have to have
Oh.
voted yet, because I haven't voted, and I'm pretty sure Daniel hasn't either. It's just in general, who would you elect to the Pro Bowl? This is just in CFM. We're not talking about the real Pro Bowl. I'll be on all day, and then
right.
I'll cry my eyes
Actually,
out.
we're not talking about the real Pro Bowl. We're going to run over time if we talk about the real Pro Bowl of who is not in that Pro Bowl.
Yeah, I know. There's enough guys tips that had me like, whoa.
I know.
Answer me this, by the way, because he was on. I didn't vote for him, but he was on my short list. Kyler Murray, in real life, Kyler Murray, Pro Bowler this year or no?
In real life,
Because there's a case to be made.
there is a case to be made. You know, the little guy has been playing out of his mind. There's some games that, you know, he's looked like the first overall pick, but then again, there's some games that he doesn't.
Right.
And the one thing that my organization did during the off season was he got him arguably the second best receiver in the NFL.
Yeah.
And that has helped him massively. Now, I know we force feed DeAndre Hopkins so much that he should be the size of a lineman, but, you know, he is an out and out one. And that's like the best thing that we could have done for Kyler Murray, even though in the draft last year, I was on record saying we should not have taken Isaiah Simmons. Now Isaiah Simmons has popped off for a few games, but yeah. As far as Pro Bowl, I don't think Kyler's there yet. So I
Right.
would agree with you to say that he's not a Pro Bowl quarterback yet. Now, obviously, with the way the Pro Bowl goes, you know, I think voting's still open, isn't it?
Oh no, it's closed like yesterday. It's really only closed like the last 24 hours or so, as far as I know.
Oh, it closed. Yeah, it closed yesterday. Yeah, I don't think he's there yet. Maybe give him another year, and hopefully we'll be able to get him into the Pro Bowl.
Okay,
But
guys, right.
As of right now, no.
CFM Pro Bowl. Who would you have in? Who jumps off the page to you? I'm going to start with an outside the box one. I'm going to put Zach Ertz in of the Eagles from a CPU team because every game I've seen that guy.
hate Zach Ertz.
Exactly, and teams that play against Pro Bowlers hate Pro Bowlers. So
Oh. Oh, I hate playing against Zach Ertz. He's just a cheat code, man.
all right, guys, listening in the chat, yeah or nay these? I'll go first. So Zach Ertz, Stoops, Dan, here you putting in.
Sean Watson.
You know what? I'm going Justin Herbert.
Oh, Stoops' MVP as the first pick.
He has been just flat out a baller in New York ever since he left Chicago. Oh my god.
Not half,
Like,
yeah.
You look at what Zach did with that team last year. That was good. He almost had Saquon Barkley over 2,000 yards. But now that he has Herbert, my God, I forget sometimes that he doesn't run with Saquon Barkley because he's putting together some good passes out there. And yeah, Justin Herbert, for me, hands down, he's getting into the Pro Bowl for me for the CFM.
Okay, I'm trying to think who else might be outside the box for it. I like. I'm gonna go with a rookie. I'm gonna go with Nakobe Dean, the linebacker that Niall drafted. And this is a reach, but no, I don't think it's a huge reach. I think he's gonna miss out. I think, but I'll probably gonna vote for him whenever my vote comes round. Probably. I think he's just had an immediate impact, and that D's been really good. And it's really hard for defensive players to get into the Pro Bowl. Like, it's always like, I mean, you see it in real life. It's like, oh, let's put Cam Jordan in. Why? What's his stats? I don't know, but he's still Cam Jordan.
Yeah, it's Cam Jordan.
Yeah.
But he's going in because of his name.
I like Kobe Dean a lot. I like Thingy from, because corners is always a really tough one. I like from your team. I'm gonna give you props, Tips. I like Byron Murphy Jr. And as an out, this is a bit of a reach. I like Tanner Vallejo, the linebacker. I think he's come up in some really big spots.
Tanner has came up clutch for me over this last sort of year and a half. Jordan Hicks didn't really have another person beside him, and I took a shot on Tanner, and he's came up, like, I think last year when I played the 49ers on the return fixture, he had a pick, a sack, and I think he forced a fumble as well that game. And for that, then I was just like, okay, I wanted you to show me something, and by God, you showed me it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Daniel, Stoops, any other Pro Bowlers you just want to put out there? Maybe by putting them out in the podcast, you'll get them more votes.
I don't think it's really like a shock, but DeAndre Hopkins has to be in.
Oh yeah, he has to be.
Right.
Like 100%.
Yeah. 100%.
The only reason that I mean, when I look at him and he might not be wide receiver 1 in the league, if he's not, it's because Will Fuller is. Like,
yeah.
They interchange. To be fair, I'll probably give it to Hopkins over the course of the season, but there's been enough weeks where Will Fuller's been good, if not better. I mean, it's crazy with the production he's getting out of 2 wide receivers. I haven't seen this since the AJ Green, Tyler Boyd, John Ross thing, where one guy has got so much out of multiple receivers.
Oh, that 3-headed monster in Cincinnati.
Yeah, and everybody's like, oh, well, Tyler Boyd didn't actually do that much. And you're like, he is probably a wide receiver 1 if he's on any other team.
Yeah, pretty much.
Then there's the top 2. Nuts. Okay. Any other crazy Pro Bowlers that you're like, we're in real stretch territory?
Well, not in real stretch territory. I was going to say, like, just to compliment Daniel's one, like Amari Cooper from Dallas.
True, fair.
He's helped James a lot this year, especially today. Today he helped out James a big bunch. I didn't watch the game, I didn't watch the game in its entirety. But from what I've seen, if Amari Cooper's not there, we could be having a completely different conversation.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that.
Very true. I believe Dallas could survive Zeke's loss rather than the loss of Amari Cooper. 100%.
Oh yeah. If you take
somebody to run
team,
a deep out on third down, it's definitely 200 billion%.
Yeah, if you take Zeke out of that team, he's got a really good backup in Pollard. Well, it's kind of disrespectful to call Pollard a backup given what he just done on Sunday there, but
it was Sunday.
But yeah, if you take Zeke out of that Dallas team, I don't think you're worried, but if you take Amari Cooper out of that Dallas team, you're like, okay, we know what James's game plan is, and that's not a shot at all.
No, I don't think that's unfair.
No, not.
Yeah. If you don't see 19 in Dallas's uniform, you're like, okay, my corner can take a break today.
Yeah. No, I agree with that.
Yeah.
Daniel, any other Pro Bowlers? Then we're gonna move on.
It's gonna sound like I'm taking a shot, but I'm not.
Go on ahead. You shoot your
Fletcher
shot.
Cox.
I've seen the pass.
Daniel, who'd you say there? Sorry.
Fletcher Cox.
Ooh.
I am going. Yeah, I don't want to be seen joining in with the non-shot, but I've seen his stats and the rest of that D-line stats recently. Yes, I'm okay with Fletcher Cox being a Pro Bowler. Yeah.
No, it's not close, really.
As far as D tackles go, he's certainly up there in stats. I haven't really watched many of Niall's games this year, but following the chat, Fletcher Cox has been a real menace in that D tackle spot.
He's an incredible player.
Yeah.
He is.
And I think that, again, it's not me saying that Niall was wrong to move off him. I don't know if it was right for Niall to move off him. I don't think you can really say right now. I think if Niall's a wild card exit, it probably was wrong. Whereas if Niall makes the Super Bowl and wins it without him, obviously it wasn't. Like time will tell whether it's the right decision. But I just think he's had a really good season, and I think that he needs to be getting a little more credit than he has got.
I think that's fair.
To be honest.
So just one thing, I just want to double check this before I say it, and then it's wrong. I'm pretty sure that this week, when I get through to the not heard hierarchy, this is the first time that I've had all 6 player teams in the top 10, or all eight player teams rather in the top 10.
What a time to be alive.
I know. Merry Christmas to one and to all a good night. Right. So the next thing I want to talk about, and I'm going to put them into the group so everybody can see them, is we all like a big tasty meal at Christmas, right? Stoops, what's your favourite thing about a Christmas dinner?
Oh my.
Daniel, I'm going to guess yours is gravy and just leave it at that. Guys, as well, feel free to put into the chat as well while we're chatting about this. Give us your favourite Christmas dinner item.
Favorite Christmas dinner item? Yo, what? I'm just gonna be cliche. You can't beat the turkey, like.
Can't beat a bit of turkey.
You just can't beat it if it's done well. Oh my god.
Sweet wee bit special.
Yep.
You always had that whenever you were at school as well. You're like, oh, we don't have turkey at Christmas. We have like chicken, and you're like, oh, that's cool. But in your head, you're thinking, God, what a monster.
Yeah. Well, why do you
You're
not?
from a bad family.
Yeah, you do not do Christmas right, my guy.
Is this your first time? I Zach beat me to it. I like thingy. I really do like stuffing, but pigs and blankets is an absolute quality item,
Pigs
right?
and blankets is an elite tier part of Christmas dinner.
S tier Christmas dinner.
Do not care what anyone else says. And there's going to be some madman that probably puts in this chat Brussels sprouts, and if you are, you're not invited to my Christmas dinner. I'm sorry. This is not.
Fiverr says James Cameron picks a vegetable.
Parsnips are okay. They don't belong in this list, but just, mad props to the
It'll
parsnips.
be like, M&S butter parsnips or something.
Yo, if you're going to do it, you got to do it right. My guy M&S,
He is a
M&S is no
vegetable.
walk in the park.
Brilliant. Oh, this is great. Great stuff. I really am curious to hear what everybody else thinks. What's the worst part of a Christmas dinner? Don't pretend it's all good. There are bad things in it.
Sprouts.
Outside of sprouts.
Oh. You know what? I'm going to say it. You see, if you bring canned cranberry sauce to my Christmas dinner, get out of the house.
Oh, yeah.
Get fucked.
I like that
Making
Stoops
yourself,
has
you lazy
certain
bastard.
Stoops is clearly throwing people out of his house for less before. I like that Stoops has clear, distinct boundaries. Yes, Adam, that's where I was going as well. See when the ham is too
Yeah,
salty.
I respect Adam. Yep.
Yeah,
Respect.
it's too much. It's not great.
I don't know. I've never had bad ham at Christmas.
No, neither have I. But well, I literally got so worried there that Mum was going to listen back to the podcast. You know what I mean? Whenever it's too salty. So here we go.
Oh, we're getting into it now, boys.
This is what I'm tucking into this Christmas. Player versus
what we're
player games. I mean, after the announcement earlier, I'm not tucking into any Baden games. I'm going on a fucking 6-month hiatus. But when it finally subsides and we're all locked down, I will be tucking into some. In January we were still having like turkey sandwiches because there's literally nothing else to do.
Yeah.
We're going to be tucking into some PvP games, and here's the extensive list. There are some absolute bangers on this. I don't know what has me more at half-mast. Cardinals Raiders is going to be immense. Giants Texans is immense. We might be getting Saints Bears with no lag. There's a lot here. John's, all of John's games. John's at Nick, at Zach, and against James, which will be the third time that he's met James, and they currently split the series 1-1, which he hates us reminding him about, which is why I do it. So first of all, Soup, since you're on, we'll focus on yours. You're at Mile High, and then
Yeah.
day before the last day of the season is
Yeah, the
you
penultimate game of the season, basically.
at home against the Raiders, which could well be
Yeah.
an eliminator. So tell me about your PvP opponents. Are you as excited as I am?
You know what? I am really excited because I didn't get the opportunity to play James or Nick last year, and you know what? I really wanted to play them because they were just like a breath of fresh air to the CFM. But it's like that when any new guy comes in.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I am, and you all have been talking about it, and I just hope that the game lives up to expectations. I am so looking forward to playing Nick on week 16.
Oh, it's
And
gonna be so good.
I cannot wait solely because I put Nick and Zach into the same category. They have taken such a fucking leap from year one to
Haven't they?
year two that I just cannot wait to play against them. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm so looking forward to playing James as well because he's just taken the AFC West and basically ran with it.
Yeah.
Whereas, Nick will have something to say about it this year.
Yeah, it's
I
it's
think
far from done. James is somewhere between. James is going to be careful. He could be the one seed in the AFC if he wins out, but if he doesn't win out, the door's open for Nick, and Nick's winning
It's
games
just,
back to back to back.
you know what, like they both play just so different from each other, and it's brilliant because you watch James. James plays a bit like me. You're either going to run the ball or you're just going to don't know who you're going to throw it to. And that's not a shot because I've been riding that wave since I started in the CFM gym, so that's not a shot.
I feel like this is the
And
part
then
of the show where I should ask you where you stand on bee slavery, but I won't.
no, yeah,
What about
I'd
games that?
say
There's a couple of games I'm really not looking forward to that I just think are going to be bleh. I don't know how everybody else feels about this. I feel like Chicago at the Giants is going to not be the most watchable. I just something tells me that game is going to stink for the neutral viewer.
why?
Daniel, thoughts?
Um,
I feel like I mean it was watchable enough last time, but I mean if they don't play this week, so anything could happen. Guys could get injured, but if they were to play this week, I just feel like one team has its offense figured out and one team doesn't. So the team that does have it figured out will move the ball relatively well. For as good as the Bears' defense is, I mean, there's no defense that's going to stop the Giants. You might slow it down a bit, but my thinking right now is, can you slow Herbert down to the point where Trubisky can compete with him? And I don't think so. I mean, I haven't even mentioned Barkley yet, but it's just it's
true.
so important because it could be for the one seed, but I just see it being a damp squib of a game.
That's actually what terrifies me about this Giants team. Like you just mentioned Herbert, and again, we all three of us have not mentioned Saquon Barkley in this matchup.
Right.
The guy almost had 2,000 yards rushing last year.
I think Thingy's going to be a damn squib too. And this is not me shitting on Zach because I think the two that I'm most looking forward to are Giants, Texans, and Bears, Saints. But I feel like Dallas at the Giants is not going to be the greatest either. Because I feel like Nick said it really well in the podcast last week. Nick said that James Earls is in prove it mode. So James has got to prove it every week and keep climbing and climbing and getting better and better. I feel like Zach is just going to slap him about the face because James still has a ways to go. This is week 9, so there's still like 8 games to go, and James is going to get better. I feel like James is going to be a playoff team. I feel like he's going to be a good playoff team, but I don't think he's going to have everything turned around and buttoned up and ready to beat Zach in week 9. It's
No.
also it's not a game that Zach needs to have either. It's a game that Zach wants to have. James needs it. But I feel like Zach is just more about his team right now. Zach knows what he is. James is figuring it out, and when all's said and done, James's team might be better than Zach's. But James has not figured everything out yet, and he's not going to figure it out over the next 4 days of Christmas. So I feel like the Giants are. Wait, it's in our blazing 5. I feel like the Giants are an interesting one.
I like the Giants. I think the Giants are probably going to take it, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say it'll be a close game, but I know we're not at this portion of the show yet, I'd probably say Giants by 5.
I think it'll be closer than people think.
Yeah.
I think it'll definitely be a close game.
Okay. Daniel, this is where I'm going to throw it over to you. I call this our PlayStation 2 games segment. Uh, but it's Christmas, so Daniel, let's chat 5 minutes of Christmas shiz, and then I'll get into everybody's three-word game.
I'm very excited for Christmas. Actually,
Good. Good for you.
I can hear it in your voice.
I'm looking forward. I'm looking forward to Christmas this year. Mainly because it's been such a wank year.
It has
Like
been a pretty terrible year,
It's been a
obviously.
disaster of a year. It's been really
Yeah.
bad.
There's been some good things.
There's been a few, not
Yeah,
many.
this
Like
this year could be summed up to an NFL team as the 2016 Browns. Like this,
Yeah.
yeah,
this is what this year feels like. The 2016 Browns with no end in sight.
You
It
know
feels
it's
a wee bit
going
like
to be
this
good
year's Jets as well.
finally. Well, Christmas
No,
is
fairness,
Christmas is
Joe.
beating the Rams.
Yeah,
got a win,
Jets got
but-
their Christmas miracle. They managed to beat the Rams and fuck the Trevor Lawrence sweepstakes. So
I was going to say, actually, Jacksonville got their Christmas miracle, and the Jets
Exactly.
had to win a fucking game. But
like, how is Adam Gase still on the job, guys? Can we talk about that for like 5 minutes, or do we think that would just, would that be a separate podcast in its own?
he must have pictures of somebody.
Must have, he must
must
have
have.
blackmail material. Like, must.
In the politest way possible, he's a fucking terrible head coach. I don't know how
I
he
don't
still
think
is
he
a
could
job.
have put it any politer as well.
He is absolutely pish. And I just don't see how he's still employed.
Neither do I.
Unless they are, like, deliberately trying to be bad. Like, unless it is just a decision has been made by the front office that, yeah, we're losing this year.
But you know what? Like, what happens if he does get fired? Do we see sort of like a vast improvement in quarterback play, like when Tannehill left him in Miami and went to Tennessee? Like, do we see a massive step up from Sam Darnold before he has to get paid, or do the Jets front office decide to move on from him?
I think the main reason that Adam Gase is still employed is quite simple, actually, the more I think about it. It's Peyton
Yeah.
Manning.
I mean,
Every time they try and fire him, Peyton Manning's like, nah, yeah, he's good. And
you know,
Tim's
he
just
could actually be all right.
through the will of Peyton Manning for no reason. But, yeah. So, Adam Gase, if you're buying Christmas presents this year, buy Peyton Manning one, because without him,
Because you owe him so much.
you are literally nothing without him. You're unemployed without him, I'm afraid. But, yeah, I don't know. I don't think Adam Gase is a bad coach. He's just not a good head coach.
See, that's the thing. Whenever Manning worked with him, Manning talks about it, he's talking about a quarterback coach. An offensive guru who hangs about with him. That's not a head coach.
Speaking of quarterback coaches, the New England Patriots have just lost theirs. I don't know if anybody heard.
Is
I
he
did not.
signed somewhere else?
He has taken
He just quit, has he?
Jed Fish. His name is. He's taken
Yeah.
the head coaching job at the University of Arizona.
Oh, fair. I take it
Good
with
luck,
it.
Jed.
I take
All
it
the best, mate.
it's going to be a thingy, is it? It's going to be an immediate start.
No, he's staying until he's eliminated from the playoffs. Oh, so yes. it is eliminated.
Ah, fuck, shot
I
fired.
feel like, what do you call it? Who is it? Is it Wile E. Coyote? Steps in the rake? Like, fuck would you say that for? Yeah.
Yes,
yeah.
it is an immediate start, but it's he was in line apparently for NFL consideration for like OC jobs this summer or this off season, but he obviously would prefer. Do you want to go somewhere where you're an OC and if like you look at the statistical decline of quarterbacks in certain positions over the last or in certain scenarios over the last couple of years, do
Yeah.
you really want to take an OC job somewhere? And within a year, people are like, "Oh my god, you're shit. Get rid of him." Or do you want to take a college job where you're being told, "Right, okay, you've got like 4 years to turn the program around." Where if it doesn't go well year one, like realistically in the NFL, you can take a job and be like, "Okay, I buy a house here. I'm the OC. It's going to be great." And 8 weeks later, you're out of a job.
Yeah, I mean, that is kind of scary.
That's
See the
not going
Cardinals
to.
2 years ago.
Yeah.
They're not going to hire. I don't believe they've hired him to be like it. It's not really how it works in college. You know, he's
Yeah.
not been hired
Oh, I
there
know,
with
it's
the view of
different.
like if you don't win your first 4 games, you're fired. That's just not going to happen. But yeah, Good luck to him. It's nice to see. I like to see NFL coaches
It,
dropping
it
down.
really was the kiss of death, wasn't it, Stoops? Like, well,
it was.
he's gonna die, but he had a good run.
I like to see NFL coaches dropping down to the college level. I'm sick of watching college teams hire the same 10 names every year. He's literally just replacing Kevin Sumlin.
I bet, yeah.
Yeah, another, like Charlie Strong, and it's the same with Urban Meyer. It's the same 20 names in the same 20 jobs every year.
In fairness, Urban Meyer is statistically connected to like 3 NFL jobs a year, so.
I would love to see Urban Meyer back in college football. Well, I would love to see him back because I would love to see him in Texas. But yeah, I think that NFL positional coaches should be looking more to, like, that's how, look at Bill O'Brien, for example. Okay, he's not doing great this year. He's out of a job. But when you look at Bill O'Brien got the Texans job off the Penn State job.
In fairness, the man is very good at making trades.
If you, he is if
That's
you're a
just one
Cardinals
guy's
fan.
honest opinion here.
Yeah.
If you go to Arizona, not the Cardinals, obviously, to
I was about to say,
University
be
of Arizona, and if you have 4 good years there, then NFL jobs look at you. Whereas if you take the OC job at, like, I don't know, the Bengals under Zach Taylor, and Joe Burrow comes back next year and doesn't immediately perform, then you're out of a job. And it's just that difference of... I think it's a better route into the NFL. You look at Cliff Kingsbury, you look at Lincoln Riley, you look at, that's where people want. It's no longer the hot thing to do to hire Sean McVay or Kyle Shanahan.
No.
You know,
It's not as simple as that anyway.
the top OC in the league is
Unfortunately
not just going to get okay, your boy Kansas, Eric.
Eric D'Enemy.
That's the one.
Yeah. The next Texans head coach?
He's going to get a job, yeah.
It
But
would
not
be
like-
absolutely criminal if that man does not get a head coach job.
Or a massive
What?
pay rise.
I know, but what he has done with that Kansas City team, obviously Andy Reid gets all the credit, but what he does with he was there when Alex Smith was there, wasn't he?
Oh yeah, he
I
was.
think
Yeah.
he might have been, just
Yeah, so
not
he was there.
as...
Like
He's done a
him
lot
to
for
be
that
a
KC team.
quarterback coach, and he went from, well, obviously, he gets the sort of like buy ball, quote unquote, of going from Alex Smith to Patrick Mahomes. But even, Alex Smith is a good quarterback, and he
Yeah.
made him better. And obviously, well, we all know how good Patrick Mahomes is, but Eric D'Enemy does a lot of stuff as an offensive coordinator that probably doesn't get recognized.
Yeah.
And if he's not in charge of sort of the Jets or Houston or Jacksonville next year, I mean, like, he'd have a very uphill battle. But if he's not in charge of one of those 3 teams, the NFL is doing a great disservice to him. Obviously, Kansas City would want to keep him, but then again, he's probably thinking in the mindset, look what I can do with quarterbacks, just give me an entire offense, please.
I'll tell you, Zach, exactly why this is not Christmas or CFM. I have just realised that we've slipped into a coma. This is Daniel, me, and Stoops on the way to training. This is all we ever talk about. It's because
That
we
is
haven't.
true.
It's
This
amazing.
is-
We've
this
accidentally
is-
turned into Stoops' car. What happened?
Yeah, this is a car journey to training on a Sunday morning. Should we get the show back on track? I think we should
5
probably do that.
spies. So back on
Yeah.
the show. We'll do a 3-word
Yeah,
game. It's going to be really quick this week because we've got Stoops on a bye, Niles on a bye, and Nick's been on a bye. So much less 3-word games than usual. Adam, Saints beat the Baltimore Ravens 42-0. I'm also going to do something with the 3-word game this week because Niall hasn't seen any of the games, so I was going to do on the podcast and tell him what ones he should watch and what ones he shouldn't. This is only a good watch if you are like into masochism, sadism. Baltimore don't put up a fight at all. Not that Adam wasn't good. Literally, the only reason you would watch this back is to see how good Adam was. He could have won this game. I'm not joking, 10-0, but it was just an absolute pummeling, and then you rub your eyes and realise that Michael Thomas didn't even suit up. 3-word game is death to ratbirds. I mean, this was a murdering. Simply put, a murdering. There are other teams that scored more points this week, but that's a murdering. James Cameron beat Tennessee on the road. Huge for Nick, because Tennessee were a wildcard chasing team until very recently. 3-word game, the danger zone. Now, this is because his inside zone is amazing. His outside zone is amazing. And in terms of a bend don't break defense, someone said it in the chat, and I agreed with it at the time. And then I watched it and was like, I'm not sure. He was lucky that the CPU missed so many field goals, but it wasn't like they were pushing 34 yarders wide. They were big enough field goals. I felt like James has got the bend but don't break. Also, no one cares if you bend but don't break when you score 51 points in the road. So that's some going. Congratulations, we got a 50 burger alert. Whoop whoop. James Earls played the Packers today. Huge win for Niall on his bye week. That's Green Bay. Where if they'd have won, that would have been certainly hot in his tail. 3-word game. Packered it in. They were pish. This is not to take away from James Earls. I thought Amari Cooper was class. I thought Dak Prescott was, I say, a system quarterback. It's not it's not a criticism. I thought he was really good. The defense has gaping holes in it still in Dallas, and I would say that a player team would carve them up. He's 1-2 in player games, and the 2 losses he's allowed like 4 touchdowns. So there are.
He did lose the Wolf Hunter in the offseason.
Very true. That is very true.
You know, that's a big hole to fill. You know,
it's a big miss.
Jalen Smith work very well together.
You can see it in the Packers game he played today. Jalen Smith plays well, but he misses. He needs a partner.
When both of them are on the field, they're arguably one of the best linebacker tandems in the league, but they're not number one for me because to me it's still Anthony Barr and Eric Kendricks in Minnesota. Those two together are unbelievable,
so good.
And
just
I will
ask A-Rod.
Stay on this hill.
They're really good, to be fair. The Giants beat Minnesota 34-17. If you're going to watch, I mean, obviously now you kind of want to watch a bit of what Green Bay does, but if you're going to watch one game this week, I would watch the Minnesota game. The 3-word game is Jabrilliant pass rush. Jabril Peppers has a Jabrilliant sack early on in the game where he comes right off the edge, and it was just at the time where I'm thinking, God, Zach could literally be beating this team with his eyes closed if only he had a pass rush. And then the strong safety comes out of nowhere like, no, absolutely buries the quarterback. I think Minnesota. I think it's Spencer Rattler, but he was crushed.
Jabril Peppers, I think Jabril Peppers is a very, very underrated safety. I think Jabril Peppers is what Jamal Adams wants to be.
Yes.
Because Peppers can play the pass as well as rush the passer.
Not only can he get sacks, but he can play safety as well.
Exactly.
Jamal Adams hasn't quite.
Jamal Adams is a safety that plays linebacker. That, it's criminal that
he's a pass rusher.
Yeah,
I don't think that's
it's criminal to say that he's
that's fair.
a top 10 out and out safety. To me, he's not. He's a pass rusher.
Right. And it does my head because I talked about this with Zach in the group the other night. Should Jamal Adams be going to the Pro Bowl?
No.
Probably yes, but he's not a safety, so he stole another safety spot.
Which he should be doing, but you're sending him in a position that he hasn't played particularly well.
I don't know why he's going to the Pro Bowl because he's got the most sacks for a DB.
Yes, which is Pro Bowl worthy, but he's not. He's an outside linebacker.
He's going to the Pro Bowl. He will not be All Pro.
No, exactly, because he's stealing. Yeah. It off another. Who is it? Is it Jordan Poyer of Buffalo? He stole.
Jordan Poyer and Micah Fitzpatrick should be there.
I think Fitz is, but he stole Poyer's spot.
He stole Poyer's spot, and Poyer's been playing out of his mind in Buffalo this year.
Right, last 3-word game, and it's great because there's a couple of these over the last couple of weeks that I've had a shot at John, and this is an anti-shot at John. It is Christmas. He beat Kansas City 42-10. John, the 3-word game for your game is really switch John. See, whenever John's buttoned up and tries for the full game, do you know what happens? You get whapped 42-10. He could have done that to a player team. He really could have. When he's on it like a car bonnet and the audibles are there, I actually put the clip of the throw. I can't remember who caught it. I think it was Fuller. He audibles the flanker into a quick out, as he always does. Loves that quick out. Boof, just get the quick release there. John's snap to release time must be like nanoseconds. And Tyrann Mathieu just creeps up at the line as he snaps the ball, and I'm like, oh god, what's he going to do? So he stops, sees it, flips to the other side, and he's got like a check down. I say a check down, it's like a 15-yard route down the middle of the field, and he just finds him, and he's in open space, nobody near him. And I'm like, wow, he's literally turned this interception into a red zone possession. So when John's buttoned up, you can't beat him. I'm not even sure that I could. If he was when John's buttoned up and John's playing his best, he's better than you, and that's just anybody. You've got to catch him on an off day, and you've got to be at your absolute best as well. But when John's buttoned up, 42-10's really simple. Just there'll be turkeys that are carved in worse ways. Team of the week. This is good. Every single game that we watched, every single player team and every single CPU team, I think, has somebody in because there were so many on buys. So, quarterback of week 8 is Justin Herbert of the Giants. Thought he was outstanding.
He is so good.
Running back 1 might be a bit cheap. I give it to Matt Breida of the Broncos. I could have given it to Travis Etienne. I really could, but I think Breida was marginally better. Running back 2, Dalvin Cook of the Vikings. Zach would have absolutely slobber knockered the Vikings. Only Dalvin Cook had some sort of resistance in the first half. He does have a run at the goal line. Again, if he's got a chance, go back and watch this game, because Zach's commentary on it is fantastic. Zach sets up this really good. He's basically in 5-3, and he's like, I'm going to hit this guy behind the line of scrimmage, and he buries Cook for 2 yards. But Cook slides off it, then does a spin, then gets tackled and falls into the end zone. And to paraphrase Zach, it's like, what? And it's brilliant. It's really good. I would go back and
You know
listen to
what,
it.
Zach needs a career in commentary after he's finished.
Doesn't he? 100%.
If he doesn't get it, I'm done with the CFM.
The league has failed.
Yeah, the league has failed him.
Wide receiver 1 goes to... wide receiver 1 goes to a CPU team. Everyone's going to lose their shit. AJ Brown of the Titans. Don't believe me? Ask James Cameron. Thought he was outstanding. Wide receiver 2 is Amari Cooper. The tight end, Stoops, I believe he's a former associate of yours, is the Green Bay Packers' Ricky Seals-Jones.
The one that got away.
Flex position is Jordan Hasselwood. He was wide receiver 1 at one point, but I think the other 2 were better than him, but I couldn't leave him out. Hasselwood is literally filling the Michael Thomas role. He had so many amazing he's a touchdown, I think, as well, that he like shrugged 2 guys off for. And again, it's just Adam being like, boys a dear, take a bow. Defensive lineman was Matt Judon, probably the only Raven that did anything in that game. The linebacker is Levante David. Jaden Hasselwood? Oh god, I've missed. It must have been an autocorrect. Jaden Hasselwood. The linebacker is Levante David. If you want to go and see how to do the best, sorry, I need to clarify this. James Cameron, do not go back and watch this. You will wet the bed for weeks. If you want to see John with a really good linebacker interception, go back and watch this game. Levante David's basically playing like a sniper. He's like, I'm a pass rusher, bang! And he jumps backwards and gets it basically with one hand. Class. And the DB was Juan Thornhill of the Chiefs. Again, I thought he played alright, but there wasn't many Chiefs that turned up against John, because John had the foot in the throat from like the first whistle. So the rankings the end of week 8, everybody's win-loss record since the most recent crop of rookies came in. John, you're 21-2-1. Adam, you're 21-2. James, you're 18-5. Zach, you're 16-8. Niall, you're 16-7. Stoops, you're 13-10. That's dangerously above 500, mate. You might want to slow down. And Oakland are 8-15. Don't forget they were 3-13. That team is hot. Herd hierarchy, not herd hierarchy. I'm going to fly through quick again because so many of you guys were on buys, so I can't really move you too far. So again, I'm trying to stick to the formula where I like the 10th best team, but I think the 9th best team beats them, and I think the 8th best team, etc., etc. So I think the 10th best team in the league right now is Dallas at 6-1. Or why are they 6-1? I haven't updated that at all.
You put a 6-1 team at the 10 spot. Wow.
Yeah, hang on. Nope, they're 5-2. My mistake. The 5-2 Cowboys are the 10th team. But I think they lose to the 5-2 Raiders. I think the 5-2 Raiders lose to the 6-1 Bears. I think the 6-1 Bears lose to the 5-2 Cardinals.
Okay.
I think. And this is.
Don't get me wrong, I'll be happy if I beat Niall, but
I have you at number 7, Stoops, and this is where you need to prove me wrong. I think the 5-2 Rams beat the 5-2 Cardinals right now. So I have the Rams at 6.
The Rams are on it this year.
aren't they?
I
But
am
so are
not looking
you.
forward to playing them again.
I'm not looking forward to many versus CPU games, but both I will be watching both your Rams ones intently. I'm pulling for you as well. Number 5, I think they lose to the 7-1 Bucks. Bucks are good, man. Bucks are good. I think the Bucks lose to the 6-1 Broncos. I think the 6-1 Broncos lose to the Saints. I think the 6-1 Saints lose to the 6-1-1 Texans. I can't move them until somebody changes my mind. I think the 6-1-1 Texans probably lose to the 8-0 Giants, who are for the second week in a row were the
Whoa.
top team in the league. I mean, if John beats him like 42-10 in the regular season, I'll hold my hands up and say I've got it wrong. But if John beats him 21-17, I'll be like, I mean, I told you Zach was good. I feel like he's the top team in the league right now. Yeah, I'd rather play other people, but it's closer to a top 2 now than it is a top 3, and I feel like Adam is just the shark in Jaws for the first hour and a half. You don't really see him, but he's there. He's fucking dangerous, and when the lights come on in January, all of a sudden the Saints are great. I have no criticism for
Yeah,
the Saints, by the way. I think the Saints were a bit weak in week 1 and week 3, and since then they've been flying. But Houston's more explosive, and the Giants are new and fresh. I'm really excited to see how that top 3 pans out. I will eat a large part of my shoes if those top 3 aren't in the title games, respectively. I don't see how they miss. So we got the Blazing 5s to do, and then we're starting to wind down. Stips, you've got 4 of the 5 to do because Arizona Chargers is one of them, and I don't want you calling that game for obvious reasons. So,
Fair enough.
first game is the Saints at the Rams. Stips is a big one for you.
Massive one for me.
The Not Vegas line has the Saints by 10, and I'm also picking
Yeah.
the Saints. Dan and Stips, who are you taking and by how much?
Saints by 14.
Ooh.
I was about to say the same because
Who's really going to
know-
stop him on that team?
Adam is going to be out to freaking prove something now.
Yeah.
I'm trying to spark
since
something
I've-
from him. Yes, he does need to do something. A statement performance.
Since I've been in the league, this show has always given Adam one loss.
Yes.
He already has that one loss, and I'm sorry to bring it up, Adam, but that was to me. And,
If you're not going to bring it up, who is? Come on.
and obviously, every time me and Adam play together, it is an absolute barn burner, and I love Adam to death, and I love playing him. But now that he's got his one loss out of the way, he's like, right, okay, I'm not allowed to lose another game. So I actually feel sorry for any team that has to come up against Adam now. And if I do make it to the playoffs and I meet him, I'm not looking forward to playing him either. That man is on a mission. And he's, I have him narrowly beating Zach in the NFC title game.
Same.
He's going back to the bowl, and I'm going to book that now.
You heard it here first, guys. Shot heard around the world. I can't really deny. I think Adam marginally over Zach in the title game seems fair.
And plus, if Adam beats the Rams, it helps me win the division, so, win-win for everyone, really.
Especially you.
Especially me, but, it's not about me.
So
It's about the CFM as a whole,
Stips, who are you taking then? Saints by how much?
I'm going to go Saints by 2 scores. I'm going to go Saints by 14. Yes, the Rams are very good this year, but the Saints are just going to be better.
Okay, so we've then got the Philadelphia Eagles at the Chicago Bears. The Not Vegas stat line on this is Eagles by 2. Now, I have 3 things to say about this before everybody thinks I'm fishing. 1, Niall coming off a bye is statistically awful, and that's coming from him and the facts. Off a bye, not good. 2, we don't know when he's going to get to play the game. There's a long layoff, or if.
Yeah.
There's a long layoff, and James Earls will be his testament to anybody that, see, if you don't play Madden for like 2 weeks and you come back in, it's off a bye and it's against the Eagles. I mean, go ask James Earls and Zach, they played them twice. The Eagles are no pushovers. Zach, I think, has beaten them
the Eagles, man.
convincingly, but at the same time is like, fuck me, man. Ertz and Wentz are just on it all the time. And the third thing I have to say is, I'm taking the Bears for the game, by the way. Not Vegas is Eagles by 2. I'm taking the Bears.
Ooh.
I rarely go against Vegas, but
Yeah, you know what? I just need to say this, right? So you know the way this is, you're not Colin Cowherd on this. If you're not Colin
I'm not
Cowherd,
indeed.
then Niall is your equivalent of Baker Mayfield. Just admit that you hate his play style, and we can move on, please.
What play style? No, I don't hate it. No,
Oh, you say that again!
no, I didn't. I said I don't hate it.
That's not what you said, but anyway.
Oh, I
You know
wish
what?
Stips could be on every week.
Um,
I don't
Depending
hate it.
on
He was
how
literally he is the defending Super Bowl runner-up, which is a big deal apparently.
see, there you go. You could have just left it, but you had to add the apparently. You had to come across as if you
Well,
don't care.
there are some people that don't believe it's a big deal. That would be the people that win the bowl. So I'm just in the interest of fairness. I'm just dealing with both sides.
Oh, you should be a politician, my guy.
Okay, I've got a question. Are we done Blazing 5?
We've
Yeah,
done.
we're still-
You're so intently listening to us. First of all, I need you guys to pick somebody for the Eagles Bears. Then we need to do the other 3 of the Blazing 5.
Depending on how long the time
I just like talking to
is
Stips,
between this
you
game
know?
and that game.
Same, yeah.
I don't know, man. Like the Eagles are like
If you're
just
gonna
a
pick a CPU team,
ball-
this is a good matchup to pick it.
they're
I
just
could have
a
left it again.
ball ache to play,
Aren't
and
they?
you know they're just. I would probably take the Eagles by a field goal, but that is with Niall being off for 2 weeks or more.
Yes, if he played the game tomorrow,
you know,
I would. The Vegas line would
if he
change
played the
drastically.
game, I'd say if he played the game tonight, I would take Niall by 5.
Yeah, right.
But because there's looking at maybe 2 or more weeks off, I think the Eagles beat him by a field goal or a sweaty Zach Ertz touchdown at the end, because who the hell else is Carson Wentz going to throw?
Yeah, I mean, if it's a forward pass, it's going to yards. See,
Yeah.
that's the thing. He knows that going in, but Zach and James Earls knew that going in as well. It's hard to stop. Daniel, who you taking? Bears or Eagles? And by how many?
Ooh, if it gets played,
You have to assume that it
Bears.
gets played. I'm not doing a Blazing 5 for the games not to get played.
Yeah, this game's
Bears
far too
by
important for.
4.
Bears by 4. Oh, this game is massively important as well for the
Yes,
1 seed.
like-
Not the Eagles. The Eagles are they're basically eliminated.
Like if Niall wins, like that's he's still got the 1 seed. If he loses, like the NFC title picture, it just gets flipped on its head.
If he loses, he's done for the 1 seed because Adam's beaten him too, and that'll be him down to 13-3. And you cannot, you can't prove to
it
me that Zach is
changes
going to
the
lose 3
whole-
games.
It just changes the whole seeding for the NFC if he does lose.
Right? And it's one of the only CPU games that you'd have any sort of worries about it because it's the Eagles and they're
Yeah.
nasty, and it's Niall
You
off a
watch-
bye.
For CPU teams in the NFC, you watch the Eagles and you watch the Bucks because they're
Yeah.
usually the 2 CPU teams that are in there. Probably the Seahawks as well. I hate the Seahawks, but there's nothing new there.
Next game is a really interesting one. It's the Indianapolis Colts at the Broncos. So the Colts could do Nick a massive favour here. The Colts actually have a disgusting record of 2-4-1, so they're not dead. I mean, they've still got stuff to play for. If you look at Zach, everybody's raving about how good Zach's offense is. Don't get me wrong, it is. But that Indianapolis Colts team lost 28-10 to Zach, and it was closer than the score suggests. And they have a tie. They have 35 points on John. So I'm going to say this is a massive compliment when the not Vegas line for this is Broncos by 8. That's big. I'm taking the Broncos, but I feel like it'll be smaller than that.
Yeah. Broncos by 4.
You know what? I think James will play well against them. I'm going to take Broncos by 10.
All the faith in you there, James, right? Stoops, sit this one out. Chargers at Cardinals, not Vegas line. Chargers by 1. I'm taking the Cardinals, and I think it'll be by a score plus.
Cardinals by 14.
Definitely Cardinals, like.
Jesus. Sorry, I know I'm meant to set this one out, but I just have to.
Oh, you can talk about it, but you're not going to make a prediction.
Alright, fair enough. Yeah, I think this is my first time playing the Chargers in CFM.
It is that. Just to explain the not Vegas line, I have the Chargers by 1, so that's hardly an indictment on you. But it's the first time you played this team. They're handy enough PvP. They're not great. They're not Eagles Bucks tier, but they're the tier below that. And you have never won 5 games in a row, and you've won 4 games. So well, I have all the faith in you. The numbers are against you, but I'm taking my pick personally is Cardinals. I do think you can do it.
Yeah. Obviously, there's a lot of factors to take into consideration when you're playing the Chargers. Like, one is he wears number 97 and he's on the edge and he's an absolutely hellacious pass rusher.
100%.
And my right tackle this year, don't get me wrong, he's good, but he's not great.
Yeah, I don't know how he stands up to that. Mark Andrews is going to be big in the run game as much as the pass game. I think he's going to be really important.
Yes. Mark Andrews has been so clutch for me this year. That's like when I went into free agency last year, I was just like, I need a new tight end. And when I seen it was Mark Andrews, I was like, he needs to be on my team.
Oh, I think you're going to get robbed. I think Mark Andrews is the signing of the season, but I'm telling you now that the acquisition of the season is going to be won by Justin Herbert, and that's just facts of life.
Acquisition of the season is Justin Herbert.
I will do everything to make sure that Mark Andrews is the second, because he's a top quality signing. Change the team.
I just need to make sure that I protect the ball, even though I average at least 1 interception a game, but I need to protect the ball, especially against this defense. And, Kenyon Drake's came up big for me these past 3 games. Need to keep relying on him and, keep feeding Christian Kirk as well. He's slowly becoming my go-to guy, even though I rant and rave that I don't even know who I'm throwing the ball to. But when I need to get out of jail free card, it's Christian Kirk. Number 13's getting the ball.
So the last game we need to talk about is the game of the week, Cowboys at Giants. I'll go full Colin Cowherd on this one. Like it, I love it. The not Vegas line is Giants by 4, and I love that as a line. I'm taking the Giants. I love the Cowboys in this game to play well. And they're going to score more than the 13 they managed the first time against them. But Zach is also going to score more than the 27 he managed the first time. I've hinted at earlier on, there's an element to this where the Cowboys need to have it and the Giants don't. But if Zach comes into this with a foot on the throttle, it's not going to be over by halftime. Dallas are going to keep fighting, and they got a good team, and they can score points. We've seen that. He scored 20 against Niall, so he can score points in PvP games. Scored 23 against Adam. But it's just that whether I look at that defense, and the Kermit the Frog meme where he's just got his hole open, I just feel like if Zach wants to, he can just score drive after drive after drive after drive with the ground and the air and the play action, the tight ends and the receivers. The only reason that Zach will stop scoring is because the full-time whistle goes. But if James gets his offense going, then it'll be a game. But Giants by 4, and I love that as a line. They'll cover that easy. Dan, Stibbs?
Yeah, Giants by 4. We'll stick with
that. Well, first of all, if you take the under on 50 points in this game, you're stupid, because this is going to be over 50 points, I think.
Right. That's a Vegas line, Stibbs. That's a Vegas stat. That's a real stat.
It's definitely going to be over 50 points. I think with the way Zach is playing, I'm going to give him the game by a touchdown. But it is going to be... It's literally going to either finish 37-30 or 28-21.
See, I do think it'll be a high-scoring game like that as well.
Yeah. Whoever gets the ball last, for me, wins this game. Whoever has the ball
I like the Giants D more than I like the Cowboys D a lot.
Oh, don't get me wrong, that Giants defensive pass rush is just hellacious, but to me, whoever has this ball north of the 2-minute warning in the fourth quarter wins this game.
See, the big thing that I have about the Giants is their inconsistent pass rush, but that shouldn't be a problem in this game because the Dallas Cowboys have a tendency to pass rush themselves. If James does a play action and stands in the pocket and doesn't get sacked, eventually the pressure will come. There'll just be almost a non-decision made.
In this game, James needs Amari and Zeke. He can't have one or the other. He needs both
Oh,
of them.
that's so perfectly put. Yes.
He
He's
needs
dead in the
both of
water
them.
if he doesn't have one of them. Yeah.
If 21 shows up and 19 doesn't, done for, and vice versa. You need both of them coming in wanting to win this game. Zach, like you said at the start of that, Zach doesn't need to win this game.
Right? He really doesn't. If he goes 8-1, it's like, oh, that's fair.
Yeah, but if he does, holy shit.
If he does, he sweeps the division, by the way. 6-0, he will
Yeah.
be in the division, which is, I mean, that means if he loses
Very
out,
early in the year too.
he'll be 9-0, 6-0 in the division. If he loses out, he's probably got good enough tiebreakers for a wild card spot.
Yeah. I think he just needs to beat James and maybe beat who's he still have to play a game. He still has to play Washington twice, doesn't he?
No.
He-
This is his
he's
final.
beaten Washington twice
He's
already.
beaten Washington twice, Philly twice, and James once. His
All
schedule
right,
is
all
so
right, yeah,
frigged that all of his games are so
yeah,
early.
If he wins, he's the NFC East champ with the one seed.
I mean, you're pretty much, yeah. I mean, if he does win it, it's
So
it's not
like he
official,
doesn't
but it's
have-
pretty cut and dry.
It's not that he doesn't have something to play for. He does. He's got the
the one
division
seed.
title
Sure,
and the one
yeah.
seed to play for. But if he loses this game, we're not going to be like, well, that's Zach out of the playoffs.
Yeah, the biggest thing for Zach,
But
if he loses
wins
this game, he probably drops to second on my herd hierarchy list. That's it. That's the worst thing that can happen to him.
Yeah, but if he loses, he's not out of the playoff. But if he wins, he's going to be the team that people maybe want to try to avoid.
Yeah.
If he wins, for me, he locks up a first round bye. And the reason for this is two teams get a bye, first seed and the second seed. God, I miss those
Yeah.
days.
I know, right?
But
Simpler times.
if Zach's 9-0, he's got some tough games coming up, but Niall and Adam are already a game behind him. And they play each
Yeah.
other, so one of them's going two games
Exactly.
behind him. The status of Niall's at Eagles game is like up in the air massively. Plus, is Niall going to play... Oh, excuse me. Niall's going to play Zach himself, so by week 13 or 14, Zach could be locking up a first round bye officially.
Yeah.
I feel like the season's perfectly poised for Zach. If Zach wins the Super Bowl, he totally deserves it. It's been a great run, but we'll look at his schedule. Not that the schedule was easy, but the schedule's nicely balanced. He plays 9 games, including all of his easy games and all of his divisional games. Then he gets a bye. Then he has all his hard games, so he can start trying and testing stuff out.
Yeah.
But he knows already going into his week 10 bye what works and what doesn't. I like his upside so much. Really like it.
Yeah,
See, for second year team, outrageous.
He has his team figured out, which is terrifying.
So the only other that's everything official dealt with. In terms of the closing of the podcast, I just want to talk about a shop about Arizona. First of all, congratulations! You're in a 4-game win streak.
Thank you.
It's really funny. The 3 most experienced players in this league are Adam, John, and Niall, and they've all lost one of their last 3. So the guys with the longest win streaks in the league, Zach obviously hasn't lost a game. James Earls is in a 4-game win streak. You're in a 4-game win streak, and James Cameron's in a 5-game win streak. So the youth is certainly flourishing. I like it. You've just had your bye. What's the focus of your bye week? Players trying to get keyed up, use a couple of different things, or players sent on holiday and told to kick their feet up because they're doing so well.
Yeah, after the two games before the bye, them and me have warranted a break. You know, those 2 games were stressful. You know, I played Adam. He's just Adam.
You played him
Always.
to overtime as well. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
both of you
yeah,
probably deserve to win the game.
Yeah. It
What
was.
what was the sideline reaction like with the Michael Thomas grab to close the fourth quarter?
Oh my god! Like, okay, so the play before that,
Right.
Adam was just like, Michael Thomas isn't on the field. I was
Yes,
just like-
yeah.
I was just like, okay, what are you doing? Why is he not on the field? He's 99 overall. What are you doing? And then he's just like, you're just going to double cover him. I was just like, well, facts. So I was like, okay, I don't need to worry about Michael Thomas. Who else does he like to throw to? Roll the safety to him, and then got the pass to break up, and I was like, brilliant. And then he had time for one more deep shot, and my stupid ass did not see number 13 in the slot on the left hand side, and I went three deep man because it was a Hail Mary shot, and unfortunately, Buda Baker is not the tallest person in the world at free safety. And then, just, yeah, Michael Thomas just did what Michael Thomas does, and that's make plays. So
Nick pointed it out in the
hella
podcast last
disappointing.
week. Have you heard Nick's podcast, the one from last week?
I heard bits of it. I haven't heard all of it. I heard
Man,
bits of it.
he was you should listen. He was immensely,
But it's just Nick.
compliment-
Nick's the football guru. We all love Nick.
don't we? I mean,
Like,
he was immensely
get-
complimentary of you, dude. He was like, see, whenever that touchdown goes in from Michael Thomas, half of this league's heads drop and they just roll over and die in overtime. And you were like, fuck it, next drive, here we go. It didn't seem to deter you at all. You didn't get safer or more conservative on offense. It was like, right, I'm going to throw a ball to my Michael Thomas now. It's like, right, okay.
Yeah. And yeah, so when Michael Thomas caught that, I was just like, are you serious? Like, I thought I had the game won. But then again, that's what I did. I thought I had the game won. That was my downfall. And then it's just like, right, overtime. Thank God I felt like Brady in the AFC title game against Mahomes 3 years ago.
That's what it
Thank
was
God
like.
I won that toss. If I hadn't won that toss, I didn't win that game. Because that Saints offense is just too good to not score every time it touches the field.
I have a random stat that you'll get a massive kick out of here, and I just really wanted to praise you for it. So we're in. Stip's like, yep, absolutely, feed me up. So we're going into week 9 here.
Yeah.
In week 3, you got beat 21-6 by Minnesota.
I
It was
did.
a horrible loss. You couldn't get anything going on offense, and you just looked lost.
Awesome.
Since then, that's weeks just for context. That's weeks 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. That's 5 full game weeks. There are only 2 teams in this league that have scored 22 points or more per game on offense. Like not per game, on each game. So you've scored at least 22 points. And those
Yeah,
two teams are the Cardinals and the Texans. So everybody's ipso facto best offense in the league and the Cardinals. You've scored 22, 23, 30, and 24. And nobody else has done that, by the way. And I know that Adam and Zach are both furiously checking. There was a game you both scored 21.
Yeah, obviously that's good to hear, but we're getting to the business end of the season, and 24 points is not going to get it done in the playoffs. And the reason I have to score so many points is, man, I can't hold on to a lead to save my goddamn life.
See, in that
I
time,
think you
you've
can
conceded
probably count-
19, 21, 24, 21. So if you weren't scoring those points, you'd have lost all those games. So your offense is
Yeah.
playing lights out.
I think you can count on one hand, and that's the amount of times that I've actually led a game. Like
It's
from
generally with
a
only 30
decent
seconds to
time.
go. Usually, it's close.
Yeah. I don't know. I just fuck it.
I mean, your last 3 games, you're in a 4-game win streak, but your last 3 games were Seattle, Kenyon Drake scores right at the death, New Orleans, where you lose the game because of Michael Thomas, it goes to overtime, and because of a coin flip you win, and then against San Francisco,
Kenyon
the
Drake
only
scored
reason, the only reason you didn't go to overtime in the San Francisco game is because Robbie Gould pushes a really far out field goal at the buzzer wide right. So you can look at it and
again in that game.
right. Kenyon Drake's a big part of your offense, is he? You think? So you're playing lights out, and it's one of those things. If you'd been on the other side of those results, if your luck breaks a little bit differently, you're like the Chargers in real life. You're losing all these one-score games, but you're not though. You're winning all these one-score games.
Yeah,
It's intense. I'm sure you're
Yeah,
welcome
it's
in the bye
intense.
week. Like you want the week
Oh,
off.
I love the bye week. The bye week's great. But yeah, I think going forward, I need to just figure out how to get a lead and hold on to it. I make stupid decisions at very, very stupid times in games. Like when I should be running, I pass, and vice versa.
I think you're getting more consistent. If you look at the Niners game, the first quarter of the Niners game, you threw a horrendous pass at Quan
Oh
Alexander,
yeah,
like right to him.
I completely hit the wrong button. That was Christian Kirk on a drag,
Yeah,
and I think Kendrick Bourne was running a corner over the top of it. I meant to hit Kendrick Bourne. I meant to hit square because Bourne was going over the middle and he was free, but I accidentally hit freaking X.
you're so
And
hard as an offense to criticize though, because like I talked to John. John needs to get buttoned up. John needs to play full four quarters, full focus, than any Miller or anybody. With you, there's areas of your game I don't want to button up or don't want to like make more disciplined because you're just you're so halfway between reckless and feckless. It's just the man without. I'm gonna call you Daredevil because you're the man without fear. When you're playing fearless, that's your best. You could start running the ball more instead of throwing that pick. Run the ball and run some clock. But then you turn into James Earls and you're winning games by a score and you're sort of hovering between, oh, like he beat Detroit 12-7 with a load of field goals. Like you run out of time, whereas when you're playing more loosey goosey, you're scoring 22 points every week.
yeah,
But the one interception per week you said about it, that comes with the territory because you're throwing the ball so much, and that's fine. I don't
yeah,
necessarily want you to stop doing that.
yeah. I just don't. I just hate giving Kyler Murray like touchdowns and probably the same amount of interceptions. I don't want to turn him into Jameis Winston. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get that.
I would rather him have like 30 touchdowns and like 15 picks instead of 30 touchdowns and 27 picks. You know what I mean?
So I'm gonna
But
throw where is it? I'm gonna throw something into the group chat now, and I need you to read it, Sips, for the purpose of this next question.
okay.
I want you in the most concise way possible to explain to me and the rest of the group who's going to be the NFC 1 seed and why.
Who's going to be the NFC 1 seed
And why.
shit?
Yeah, it's hard.
It is hard because literally, one loss for one of these teams and the whole pecking order changes.
I would say if you look at the wee graphic, the Rams and the Cowboys are, I mean, they're going to lose more games. They're on the outside looking in. Anybody
They
from the
are.
Giants down to the Saints, anybody in that top five, Giants, Bucks, Bears, Cardinals, Saints, they are all 1 seed eligible at this stage.
They are. They are. Well, I know I'm not going to be the 1 seed, so I'm just going to discount myself.
You have the second most divisional wins out of any of those teams. That's a nice
Yeah,
tiebreaker
that's
to have.
true.
You've got head to head over the Saints.
That is true, but you know what? I'm also the only division leader with 2 losses, and that doesn't help me either.
True. I was about to say if I had a couple more bottles of Budweiser in me, I could go on and explain exactly how the Cardinals are going to win the 1 seed. But I'm not that drunk. Okay, carry on.
Um, you know what? I gotta go with my lineman brother. I gotta go with Zach, man.
I was
I
going to say
got to.
if you go with the Buccaneers, you don't offend anybody, or maybe you offend
Yeah,
everybody.
I gotta go with
Zach.
my right tackle, for life, Zach. The man is playing out of his fucking mind, and if anyone can sort of ride the undefeated streak, I think it's him. Now, don't get me wrong. If he loses to James here, you know, again, nobody panics. But I think he's playing in a way that, the 1 seed is obviously his to lose, but he's playing in a way where he's probably not going to give it up very easily.
Right.
He will be hard to beat. He already is hard to beat, obviously. He's 8-0.
Yeah, nobody
But
can.
yeah, people have tried and failed. But, I think it's going to be Zach. Now, don't get me wrong, there's a team down in Louisiana that will have probably something to say about that. And then, obviously, Chicago will make that late surge as well. But for me, if you're asking me right now, who's the 1, 2, and 3, it's going to be New York, New Orleans, and Chicago.
That's and presumably you would be the 4.
Well, there's still time. There's still time.
There's still time.
I still have to try and beat the Rams twice and probably win out. I'm looking at my schedule. I need over 10 wins, man. Like I've only had 10 wins once, and that was my rookie year.
10.5 wins. Credit where credit's due.
I need, and I need to be hitting that 11, 12, maybe 13 games mark. But then again, I've already lost 2 games.
I'll tell you, the only thing standing in your way, for the most
It's
part,
me.
is the Rams twice and yourself. I
You
mean,
know, the
it's
Rams,
an iffy
those
schedule.
two.
There's the Rams, there's the 2 PvP games. You got Seattle again, Philadelphia, who we've already said are tricky. But I
Yeah,
mean, you're on a run right now.
I am. I am. But, if last year's anything to go on, the second half of the season is not my friend. you know. But yeah, I'm just going to take each game as it comes. Trying not to worry about it too much, because if I worry about it too much, like, I think the very first time I worried about a game was last year when I played the New England Patriots, because I was going against that secondary
Yeah.
and I lost the game because I was already worried about the secondary before I played the game. So that's sort of like my approach this year. Like, look, I'm just gonna go into the game and do the best that I can. Like, if I start worrying about it, that's when I lose.
So I have one last thing to ask you, and if I don't get this asked, the podcast is going to get complaints for the first time.
Go
Ah,
for it.
well, tell a lie enough the first time. The one thing that is on the world's mind, and a chance to sit down with the Arizona head coach is too big to pass this up.
Yeah.
What's the crack with Kyler Murray's legs? And why are we not seeing them on a weekly basis?
Why are they
Should
so
we,
small?
should we see them? Would they help? Have you seen them in training? Do you not like him running? Or are you telling him to run and he's just not running? What's the deal?
Um, I don't want to put my quarterback in harm's way. I, granted, Kyler's probably a very, very adept runner, but I don't want to put him in a position where I have to make him scramble and then I lose him for a year.
True, Kyler
Or,
Murray has
or
no rushing touchdowns this year, but he's also got no injuries.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't want to run on a key down and him get hit and fumble and that lose me a game. And then I have a quarterback that single-handedly thinks that he lost me the game.
True. I mean,
And you know what? It's just not my play style. I just
we've seen a bunch
it's
of
not that
QBs that have run
I
with a
don't
like varying degree of success. I've seen Deshaun Watson mess up a
yeah.
bunch of 2 pointers. I've seen Jordan Love lose fumbles at critical points in a game. Derek Carr's a fumble machine, just the best. He can't help it. It was even when I was playing with Oakland. Derek Carr just can't hold on to the fucking ball. But Kyler Murray's ball security, I think, is pretty good. I don't actually remember him fumbling too many times in the pocket, to be honest with you.
Yeah. I just it's just not my play style. It's not that I don't appreciate quarterbacks who can throw as well as
Sure.
run. You see the likes of like you said, Deshaun Watson, Russell Wilson, Lamar Jackson even.
Mitch
They
Trubisky in the
can
CFM is sort of, I don't know, he's kind of the line between a passer and a runner. Like I've seen now,
yeah,
he's run with a lot of success. He doesn't ever seem to be punished for running, if that makes sense.
they can they can do it and they can do it very well, but
Yeah.
it's sort of a thing it's just not my thing. It's just not my cup of tea, really.
Okay, so question before we go.
Okay.
Go for it.
More laid back question.
Yes.
Love those.
Who is your favourite current playing and retired? You can pick one of each. Obscure NFL player.
Oh.
Somebody that you feel like, apart from their family, you'd be the only person to own their jersey.
Oh God.
God, that is tough.
Obscure- That is a tough one.
Start with retired, and then we'll do current.
Okay.
Jesus, Daniel, you just put me on the.
I'm okay answering intricate questions about my quarterback and play style, but don't ask me about my favourite players.
I know, right? Jesus Christ. You have put me on the spot. You know what? I can never remember his name. And you're probably going to tell me it because he is a Dallas Cowboy. But I'm going to go with the center for that Great Wall of Dallas team.
Oh, Mark Stepnowski?
Yep. And I will tell you why. Because one, he was, I think he went undrafted, didn't he?
I am going to look that up now.
Because I am a sucker for like, undrafted guys like popping, like this year, for example, the fact that James Robinson is not in the Pro Bowl is fucking criminal. He is carrying
Yeah.
that Jacksonville offense, and
Yeah.
if he keeps this up, that man is going to get a massive payday. But yeah, that center for that Dallas O-line is just so underrated, and he was undersized, but Jimmy Johnson, they got him out of the University of Pittsburgh, I believe, the same
Correct, yeah.
school that Aaron Donald came out of, and Jimmy Johnson, nicknamed him Pitt, perfect in total technique, and if you watch the film, my God, nobody got past him. Well, nobody got past that Dallas offensive line, but especially if
Do
he
you want
had
to know
like
an interesting fact about Mark Stepnowski?
what?
He believes 9/11 was a hoax.
Well, we all have our clips.
I literally had it pop up on my, about 2 or 3 years ago. I think I'd seen it on like ESPN. It was like, Mark, former Dallas Cowboy. I genuinely thought he died. I just seen former
Yeah.
Dallas Cowboy Mark Stepnowski. Thought, shit, and clicked it. It was like,
But yeah,
believes in the 9/11 truth movement. I was like, oh, okay.
like that guy for a center being the size that he was, and he was
Yeah.
not the weight of an offensive lineman, to put it
No, he
politely.
was a big tight end that played
He
center.
was a big tight end. He moved to center, and outside of left tackle, center is the second most important position on the offensive line, because you call the mic and you basically let everybody know who their keys are. Left tackle is the most important position on the offensive line, and whoever thinks differently is just wrong. You want your best guy protecting your quarterback's blind side, and you're getting the best pass coverage at left tackle. But for like the obscure guy retired, I would go him, and the fact that none of that Great Wall of Dallas is in the Hall of Fame is fucking
Absolute
criminal.
joke.
Also.
It's just bias. That's all it is. That's the only
Yeah.
reason. It's so stupid. Just one thing from the chat there, just so we can keep interacting. Niall says, could this be the first time that Tampa Bay finishes in the 2 seed? Obviously, they'd have to win the NFC South to do so. My
They would
point
have
was,
to win the NFC South, which they're not going to do. But stranger
I
things have
can't
happened.
I can't get behind the idea at all until, because Adam can still go 6-0 in his division, and if he does, then there's no way Tampa wins it because they've lost
Yeah.
twice to him. I just
Yeah.
it's gonna be tough because if Adam beats the Rams, Tampa's still in charge of the division because they're 7-1 with 2
Yeah.
divisional wins. But until Adam plays, even if Adam wins the divisional game and doesn't look great doing it, then we can talk about it. But while it still says 0 in his divisional head-to-head box, I can't get behind that anybody's going to win the South
No,
other
I
than him.
can't get behind. Don't get me wrong, Tampa's a great team, but
Oh, they could be a wild card team. They really could. Again, it's just
they're definitely a wild card team.
I don't
But if there's going to be a division leader representing the NFC South, it's New Orleans.
Adam hasn't lost a what do you call it? Adam hasn't lost a CPU game in like 2 years.
Yeah.
I mean, he lost to Zach last year and Stoops this year, but he hasn't lost to the computer in like 3 seasons. So I don't know how he's going to lose multiple in division games.
And then, what was the other one, Daniel? An obscure current player
Yeah.
that I like. Let's see. You know what? It's a homer pick, and for the life of me, like I'm so bad at remembering player names. But he's popped for us recently. One of our outside linebackers that plays for Arizona. He's got long hair.
Oh, not Marcus Golden.
No,
Um,
jeez. He had a very crucial sack against Jalen Hurts last week.
I will look it up now.
because that guy, he was a special teamer. I think he was an undrafted free agent again. He started on special teams, and then obviously with us losing Chandler Jones this year, he got an opportunity and he's just taken off with it.
I have
think he's
three names. Dennis Gardak.
That's him.
Yeah. Oh, I got it one.
Dennis Gardeck, he has gotten very crucial sacks, very crucial tackles for loss for us in key games. I think against
Yeah, he's 7 career sacks and a fumble recovery. That's not
yeah, and I think
not
he
bad
got
for an undrafted guy.
I think he got maybe 2 or 3 of those against Seattle when we played them at the start.
Oh,
towards the start of
guys,
the year.
while you're listening, if you want to jump in the chat there and fire in any obscure players, fire away.
You know, and then obviously to flip it, like obviously my favorite player currently that's not really obscure, it would have to be I know he's injured at the minute, but Austin Eckler, like I think he is arguably a top 10 back this year.
Mine are quite weird ones. Ian, you go first. Who's your obscure retired player?
Obscure retired player?
Yeah.
Um,
It's a hard question to answer, like.
it is, because you're like, oh, him? Oh, no, everybody knows him. What about him?
Yeah.
Well, everybody knows him as well.
Oh no, people know the names of mine. They just wouldn't necessarily be fans of them.
Ah.
Can I have a couple?
No.
Yeah, sure.
No.
Yeah, go for it. Have as many as you want.
He's not my favourite player by any stretch, but he's obscure, and I just want to give him a shout out. You know the way James White should have been, or maybe he was, I don't think he was, Super Bowl MVP against Atlanta?
I don't think it
Yeah.
was. I think Tom gave him the car though.
James Starks of Green Bay literally did the same role about 10 years ago, and nobody knows who he is. Aaron Rodgers'
Really?
only Super Bowl win, James
A
Starks.
guy who doesn't get enough credit, Matt Forte. That's not one of mine, but
Matt Forte should have gone into the Hall of Fame, but I also think Rivers should, so nobody credits me.
everybody be nicer to Matt Forte.
Matt Forte's
so
a
who's
good
your,
Forte is a baller.
who's your retired player? James Starks?
My retired player that nobody knows?
Is James Starks?
No, it's got to be Thingy. Everybody does know him, but I love Thingy for the Panthers.
Who?
Cam Newton. Oh no, I just wish he would retire. No, Thingy. Jake
I think
Delhomme.
he has.
Jake
Taking a
Delhomme
shot
is
against his own quarterback.
no, it's not my quarterback. Jake Delhomme.
Panthers Cam Newton has retired. You have Patriots Cam Newton.
Jake Delhomme is just spice. He's exactly what I would imagine would happen if James Cameron ever accidentally got an NFL contract. I mean, just I'm
It would be by accident.
gonna come out here and I'm gonna sling it and I'm gonna throw it way down the face. Oh Christ, we're in the Super Bowl! Ah! But I just thought he was really good. He's just an everyman QB. He's sort of like Andy Dalton before Andy Dalton's came along.
Okay, and your current player?
Current player that I really liked who's obscure.
Yeah.
I would have said Fred Warner, but he's
Quite well known.
he's getting more and more well known, and he's quite big in the CFM, so I'll stay away from him. I think he's good though. Obscure player. I like Chris Conley of the Jags. I really do, because
He is good.
he's the number one receiver. Like he's statistically like a top 10 receiver in the AFC, but he can't even get in the top 2 of his team, and nobody knows who he is. But just watch him. If you're in a 2-minute drill, you would want him in the team. And he's played with about 14 different quarterbacks in the last 2 years as well.
Mine are. I have 2 retired ones. My current one's Chase Daniel.
Yeah.
I fucking
Yeah.
love Chase Daniel. I adore the man.
Daniel,
I
a hero
have-
to us all.
I spent like my first year at uni watching an incredibly sad amount of college football. Now he wasn't in college while I was at uni, but I watched like I didn't know who to watch because I couldn't get Big 12 football,
Yeah.
and I couldn't get I got some Big 12 football, but the quality of it was terrible, and I got a little bit of SEC football, and I
The
spent a
dark
lot of
times.
time watching Gary Pinkel at Missouri, and I ended up actually I was on like a web seminar with Gary Pinkel a couple of years ago. He is very, very smart and very, very funny. Um, he used to be the Missouri Tigers head coach and the Toledo Rockets head coach before that. But yeah, I ended up on I signed up to a lot of like coaching seminars and stuff, and I ended up sitting in our kitchen in Crana when I was at uni watching a coaching seminar with Gary Pinkel on it. And after
Nice.
that, I started watching Missouri, and Missouri were pretty terrible. So I watched old Missouri highlights, and Chase Daniel was the quarterback, and he was fucking great. Plus, the man has nearly made he's made like $60 million in his career and thrown about 140 passes. Like that is how you make money. He is currently on a 3-year deal with the Lions. I just checked there on like $5 million a year, and there is just he's literally thrown like 6 passes this season to make like $5 million.
Brilliant.
It's incredible. Retired. I have a quarterback and a running back. Quarterback Matt Castle. I adore Matt Castle. Literally didn't throw a single pass in college, and Bill Belichick just went, "I like him." Like how you go from throwing not like thousands of kids play high school football, and there's hundreds more play quarterback in college football. Surely you would not. Why would you ever sign one who had? He didn't even sign him. Actually, drafted him in the 7th round. Why would you draft one who didn't throw a single college pass? He appeared in 2 college games. Sorry,
He
he
interviewed
threw.
really, really well with him. It's in the book I just
He,
finished.
he was 20 for 33 in college. Not
Yeah.
touchdowns, interceptions, completions to attempts.
Oh my god.
He threw 33 passes for 192 yards, 1 int, no touchdowns.
Was that
And
the only game he played? Or
oh no, that was his career.
oh god.
He appeared in 32 games as like a holder and stuff. He spent more time on the field playing USC baseball than he did playing USC football. And then the Pats just went, yeah, we'll take him. And he ended up with 17,000 career pass yards, 109 total touchdowns, and a Pro Bowl appearance. Which I think is just fantastic, to be honest. And the other one is from the well-known football factory of Co University. I don't know what their football nickname is because they don't actually have a Wikipedia page. They are a private liberal
Well,
arts
that's
college.
something else.
They are a private liberal arts college in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. And
Oh
they
my
produced
God.
one of my favourite NFL players ever, Fred Jackson. That man. Fred Jackson played arena football, played NFL Europe, and then played 8 years with the Bills, and was... 2009 he was the NFL All-Purpose Yards leader. In 2004, he was playing for the Sioux City Bandits. He went from arena football to winning co-MVP of this indoor football league, not even the main indoor football league. Then he went and played in Europe for the Rhine Fire, and then the Bills signed him. And he spent 8 years with the Bills, 1 year with the Seahawks. He Walter Payton Man of the Year. He was the first person ever to have 1,000 rush yards in a season and 1,000 kickoff return yards in the same season. He was also this stat is amazing. He's the oldest running back in the Super Bowl era to make his playoff debut. He made his playoff debut at 34. That is genuinely amazing. He also
I'm
owns a
just-
steakhouse.
Guys,
Oh, man.
has anybody done what do you call it? Has anybody done the Pro Bowl voting yet?
I have not, no.
Because
No.
Adam,
I
if
will be
you're
voting for Chase Daniel though. Just to let Adam know.
Adam, if you're on
Get
and you're
Adam
listening,
to the list, please.
do we have any sort of rules on who we can vote for? Because I tried to vote for just 4 of each position, and then I got a corner, and I look like I'm going to vote for about 12. I just think there's a lot there. If you want me to cut it down a wee bit, I can. But
Also, I love Adam's pick for current player that nobody knows about, Tim Patrick of the Broncos. My God, he is just... He's
He
helping
is
that
a
team.
star.
He is helping that team. Without Cortland Sutton, that team is struggling this year.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm gonna do 4 of each position and just vote for as many corners as I can because I just think there's a
You're
lot of
such a
corners.
Patriots fan.
I think I've picked basically a corner from every team. I just think they're really good. There's a lot of them like that have played so well this year.
Tell you who's a good player that we never talk about in the CFM anymore, and we should talk about again.
Sorry, no, I was about to complain about not being able to vote for multiple safeties, but it's like Adam said. He mentioned earlier in the week. I think you can only vote for one safety, but you can vote as many times as you want for strong
Okay.
safety. So
David Fields. Let's bring David Fields back to the league. He was
no,
done
we
dirty.
can't. We can't.
He was done dirty by the Bears.
He was. It was the
Get him back.
it was the Texans. He was actually done dirty by the Bears in real life, but he was
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking of.
he was outrageous for Niall for about 2 weeks, and then Watson got fit again and came back in and was crap. But John will never forget. The streets will never forget David Fields for that fortnight where it looked like he was going to go to the Pro Bowl, and then Niall pulled him.
Embarrassing.
I
Disgusting.
don't like going back to it. Niall worked with him every single week, knows exactly what he's about, and he played Watson.
Give
Niall,
Fields a chance.
Niall wasn't tanking, so he knew that in his mind that Watson was better. So
The guy's only 30. Get him signed, somebody.
I was going to say that nobody knows better, bar the coach. But Adam makes a compelling point in the group.
Yes, he does. Then again, I'm agreeing to something I have absolutely no idea. This was before my time.
He's good. Fails for like 2 weeks. It was only the 2 weeks he played, but he was good.
That's what you want from a backup QB, though.
Exactly. And then that's the thing though. As soon as Watson was fit, Watson went back in, and as much as you're like that's exactly what should have happened. If you were there, you would have seen that Watson was struggling and the team was struggling and they weren't doing very well. And to put him back in just because he was the starter was a bit weird to some people. Honestly,
I'm tempted to change up my podcast, by the way. And
I was on the David Fields thing. I was okay with it at the time. I don't really understand the massive uproar, but then again, I was never fully bought into the Herbert Trubisky debate either.
Some of us were very much bought into David Fields and feel let down.
Some of us are John.
But my podcast may become we review one of David Fields' Missouri games every week.
That'd be good actually.
Me and James Cameron will review a Chase Daniel game every week, including the one where he threw more. I think he had 2 of them in his career. He threw more touchdowns than incompletions. It was incredible. That's back when Missouri were in the Big 12 as well. Oh, the man's a hero. Go and watch some of his interviews.
Many of you guys watched that. Sorry, go ahead, Daniel.
No, far away.
No, it's completely off the topic of what you were about to say. So finish what you were saying.
Chase Daniel was born in Texas, played for Missouri. One of the first people ever to travel all the way from Texas to Missouri to play college football. He has set up. I've just seen this in his Wikipedia. He's set up a scholarship now that one athlete a year goes to Missouri from Texas, paid for by him.
The gift that keeps on giving.
Merry Christmas, Chase Daniel. What a fucking hero. Yeah. If you don't like Chase Daniel, you do now, right? The man of the god. Anyway, let's continue.
Any of you watched that new movie Safety on Disney Plus yet? I haven't watched it.
Oh,
No.
the one with Blake Sims in it?
It looks fucking good. It looks
I have
good.
not seen it, but it does look... I seen a trailer for it the other day on YouTube. It does look quite good. Is it Blake Sims that's in it? There's a former Obama quarterback in it. I think it might be Blake Sims. I'm going to Google it. It's about Clemson, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the Clemson safety that had to take his wee brother in was mum was recovering from a drug addiction, and then it's like, don't get me wrong, it's a great story, but it's just this stereotypical Disney story, like heartfelt, pulling your strings. But then again, we'll make it like appealable to the masses by following the football version of it, you know.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, I'm going to watch it.
It is. I've just said it's Blake Sims, the ex-Alabama quarterback,
Yeah.
who played really badly in the CFL for a year or two. Not a good player. Hopefully he's a good actor, though. If he's a good actor, we can forgive that.
Exactly.
Maybe the reason he was shit in the NFL is that he was just pretending. the whole time. He's always been an actor, and they just took him too seriously.
He's so good at acting, he got a job in the NFL.
Yeah, he's throwing a
That's how
perfect
good of an
smile in
actor
the
he
park,
was.
being like, "Oh fuck, I'm gonna nail this acting job I get," and then just get grabbed, shoved in a Montreal uniform. We're like, "Good luck, mate."
You played for Bama. Go win it. Grey Cup.
One thing I've noticed in the, what do you call it, the voting,
I was going to
can't-
say, he played college football at Bama for 4 years. If there's one thing that's going to be really, really convincing in the movie, it's going to be his handoffs.
Oh,
Like, those are going to be fucking crisp. They
you
are
cannot
gonna be,
vote for thingy at free safety.
Who? Jamal Adams.
No,
He's a fucking
I wonder
fraud.
why.
He's a fucking D-end, a skinny D-end.
you cannot vote for Marcus Williams. So Adam has listed what I believe is his backup free safety for the Pro Bowl, but won't list Marcus Williams. Not that you would. I wasn't looking for Marcus Williams to vote for him.
Oh, this is going to end like Earl Thomas giving Pete Carroll the finger on the medical thing. Marcus Williams is just going to check out. Just. Oh,
You're like
I was going to say that somebody's going to throw a 9 on Adam in a game, and Marcus Williams is going to let it go for a touchdown. But
You
how
wouldn't
would
know.
we any fucking difference? Yeah, he's the reason Adam's treating him like this is because he's shit.
real talk though. Do you think Earl Thomas is going to be in an NFL team next year?
It's hard to know.
If so,
Depends how good the security at training camp is.
who? Like, honestly, right now, if they take a rookie quarterback, I could see him ending up at the likes of Jacksonville.
Well, it's certainly
Even
having
though,
the money.
like,
I could see him going to Cleveland.
but like, just like,
They have
I
a
cannot,
total bunch of dickheads. Like,
I just can't hide my disdain for the Jacksonville Jaguars franchise. Like, I'm gonna go off tangent and have a wee bit of a rant here, but like,
it feels
fuck
like they've
me
been
talking
created
about
for
it.
a Disney show.
Fuck me talking about a dysfunctional franchise. I know we berate Cleveland for going 1-32 over 2 years, but fuck me, like Jacksonville, you had arguably one of the best defenses in the last decade that took Blake Bortles to an AFC title game, almost beat Tom Brady, and then you were just like, you know what, lads, I think we need to rejig the team. Let's get rid of everybody on defense.
I think Jacksonville should be a New England fan's favourite team. Because when people say, "Oh, Bill Belichick,"
You don't believe the hype, are you, that Bill Belichick's going to Jacksonville, do you?
No. When people say
No,
Bill
no.
Belichick's consistency is not that impressive, you look at Jacksonville and think this is a team that made the AFC title game and decided, what's the big off-season move to take us to the next level? Let's hire Tom Coughlin to bully young people.
Yeah.
Like,
But,
what the fuck was the plan there? That's anybody who's in
Let's
any way
hire
a
him
pass
to
rusher,
bully young
let's
people.
trade them. Calais Campbell out of the fucking building, Malik Jackson,
For a
Yannick
fourth round
Ngakoue.
pick for Calais Campbell. The Ravens
Yeah.
fucking stole him.
Yannick Ngakoue, we're going to keep you just long enough to hate us, then we're going to send you out. It just...
Like,
Oh.
what the fuck is the ownership doing in Jacksonville? Like, seriously. Like, you have more fucking money than sense that you had arguably the best young defense in the AFC at the time. Could have won. That was their Super Bowl window. And they
Yeah, 3
absolutely
corners against the Patriots.
fucked it into a hedge.
Yeah, they did.
But, sure.
All you need
they
to know about
fucking-
them is that they also own Fulham. Like,
Yeah. But don't get me wrong.
That says a
I like
lot.
Fulham Stadium. That's about the only thing I fucking like about Fulham. But it's just, and they've got such a big following in the UK because they're the only fucking NFL team that can despise us every year.
to be fair, Jacksonville, I earned a little bit of extra hatred for the Jags. I
for
went over to London a few years ago for Jags Ravens with my ex, and I thought, okay, it's not going to be great,
But it's football.
but I get to see the one thing I want to see. I get to see Justin Tucker.
Oh yeah, he
Played-
was hurt that
played-
game, wasn't he?
Played at the University of Texas, brilliant player, just off all-time kicker. The Jags beat them 44-7. I got to see I seen Justin Tucker nailing 900 yarders in warm-ups and thought, oh my god, this is going to be amazing. And then I got to see him kick a fucking PAT. And Blake Bortles put 4 touchdowns on them. Joe Flacco got pulled from the game. The Ravens' touchdown was scored by Ryan Mallett. The Ravens' lead receiver was Nick Boyle with 14 yards. It was an absolute waste of a day.
But
I missed better NFL games at home.
The Jags, man, like, you could have had something like really, really special there with that defense. And like, you had Blake Bortles. I think Blake Bortles was still on his rookie contract, wasn't
I think yeah, probably.
At
Yeah,
that stage, he
was.
would have
So
been. Yeah.
you could have, brought in some offensive help to help him, and but no, it's just like, you know what, this didn't work.
There
We
is
didn't
only
get to
about
the Super Bowl.
3
Let's
Jaguars all time that I
disband
like.
them. Same.
Mark
One
Brunell.
of them is Maurice Jones-Drew.
Yes.
Oh, MJD.
Maurice Jones-Drew, Mark Brunell, and Tony Baselli. Other than that, sure as shit. Terrible franchise. Who looked at that team and thought Florida needed another team?
Right, guys, we're
know.
gonna wrap the podcast here. Stoops, by all means, we can stay on and just chat shit, but I'm gonna wrap the podcast
I'm all for
unless
that.
unless we've anything else we want to
I can't
touch
wait
on before
for
we go.
Simpsons on mine. That's going to be amazing.
I voted, by the way, for 10
We're just going
different
to talk about
corners.
the Jags. We're just going to talk about the Jags the whole hour.
And how shit they are.
Yeah, we're just going to break down every Jags season since that AFC title game.
Oh my god.
It's going to be so good. I'm excited.
I got
Anyway,
a little tilted at the end there, sorry.
Everybody go and enjoy your Christmas.
Yes, have a
Stay
very good
indoors.
Christmas.
I'm gonna
Do
turn
not
the PlayStation
spread
off
anything.
without even actually being in the room for it, so this is gonna be cool.
Do not turn the PlayStation off. I talk to you something. Buy a Chase
how do I
Daniel
kill the
jersey.
stream? Daniel,
Give it to your loved one.
what do I press to kill the stream? Like share
No,
and then hammer X a load of times?
you'll need to go down and do it.
No. Alright, anyway, that was the podcast. It was brilliant. Thanks for coming on, Sips. It's unreal. This is a great
pleasure.
episode, I thought.
Take it easy, guys. Have a good Christmas.
Yes, all the best, guys.